guys, it's the Walking Zero Two Dead here, king of the anime and manga unboxers and a lover of all things geeky here on YouTube. So today's video will be part 2 of my top 30 favourite anime TV series of all time. Now this list is going to be my personal, honest favourite series. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to put things that the fans think that should be at number 1 or number 5. Fuck it, this is going to be for my personal entertainment over the years of, this giant ass collection that I've watched. So, enjoy the list, guys. So making its way to the number 20 spot is Claymore, and I love this series. It's full of really hardcore female warriors, and you could say that it's a lot like Berserk, but with its female sort of like counterpart. It's set in a world with loads of demons and swords and shields and armor, and it's that gory atmosphere and dark tone to the series. It follows Claire, who is a Claymore, who's a warrior that lives in a world where these creatures called Yoma that eat humans' innards. Claymores are created by taking a Yoma's flesh and putting it inside a human, and you basically gain like superhuman strength and sort of speed. And essentially this is a good old-fashioned blood and guts and bones revenge story where Claire has been wronged, her family's been killed, the woman that basically sort of becomes like her mother figure is killed, and she just goes out for revenge to kill this Yoma that's wronged her life. And it's awesome. It's if you like strong female characters, blood, guts, big old swords, monsters, you're gonna love Claymore. Give it a try. So once again, probably making a bit of controversy at the number 19 spot is a series that a lot of people are probably going to expect was in the top 10. It's Gurren Lagann, and I actually did really love this series. There's some crazy fights, it gets super hyped towards the end. But it's another one of those series for me that was solid, but it felt average. For me, it was missing a certain X factor that truly pushed up into the elite for me. I mean, I heard so much hype about this series, and I went into it not expecting a great, amazing series. But there's a certain something about this series that fell flat. It follows Simone and Commoner, who are these sort of, I want to say like early 20s, maybe teenagers, that live in this underground city, and they're like diggers, and then one day this like giant mecha robot falls down and like crashes through to their like underground like place, and they get to the surface where there are these things called Beastmen and the Spiral King, and it's all about basically freeing the human race, and the human race, prospering over the earth again in a sense. Tons of like mecha fights, and there are some badass characters. Commoner's an absolute beast, but I don't know, there was just something lacking for this series for me. Highly recommend it though, because I know a lot of people love Gurren Lagann. Highly recommend you check it out. So blasting its way into the 18th spot is the Pulp Fiction of anime. That is Black Lagoon, and this is a tremendous action series. Some really badass fucking characters like Revy and Balalaika, and Chinglish if you want to call her that. But yeah, this has got that Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, episodic sort of formula with that real cool factor to it. It follows Revy and like Rock. Rock being sort of the main character of this, Japanese businessman that gets picked up by a group of mercenaries like Revy, and they live in this sort of like fantasy sort of like city that's full of like gun smugglers and drug dealers and people smuggling, sort of, just villains and scumbags and pieces of shit. Every, piece of crap in the world sort of like lives in this sort of fictional, like Chinese, Filipino sort of like area of like this island. So it's like episodic. You're going on these different like mercenary like missions to, I don't know, steal stuff or be bodyguards, all that sort of thing. And it's like I said, it's got that cool factor, tons of action, tons of gunplay, tons of hot chicks, explosions, car chases, fucking boats destroying helicopters. Black Lagoon, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out now. Number 17, Samurai Champloo. Samurai Champloo. Yo, this is an awesome feudal samurai series infused with hip hop, and it pulls it off. It's absolutely amazing. It follows Mugen, Jin, and Fu in feudal Japan, and they're basically on this like mission to find the Sunflower Samurai, and it basically copies the same formula as Cowboy Bebop because it's made by the same guy. It's very like episodic. You've got episodes where they go to like a weed field and get really high when they burn it. There's like beatboxing samurais. There's episodes where they have like baseball against the Americans. They're fighting zombies. There's total madness. But the last couple episodes are awesome when it follows the core storyline. There's some real fluent, awesome sword fights. Highly recommend check it out. Samurai Champloo. So slashing its way into the number 16 spot is another awesome samurai series, and that is Samurai 7. It follows the classic legendary Seven Samurai storyline, but it gives it like a sci-fi post-apocalyptic twist to it. It basically follows the same story of, you know, there are these bandits raiding these villages, taking all their food, all their rices, and, you know, the villagers hire 7 samurai to defend their village. And, you know, this is awesome. It's the leader is Konbei. Konbei is a fucking beast. You know, he used to be a general in an army where you got like space fleets of fighter ships, and, you know, his side was like defeated, and then obviously, you know, the bandit side, they rose to power. Each of the 7 samurai are kick-ass, all of their own like special swords or abilities. Like there's a robot guy, and this series, check it out, it is incredible. So at number 15, I'm gonna take this potato chip. Yo, Death Note. I honestly think this series gets a lot of slack, and a lot of people forget just how incredible this series actually is. If the second half was as good as the first half, I can honestly say that this could have been the very best anime I've ever watched in my life. I went back like maybe 5 years ago when I was watching it. I tanked the episodes. It engrossed me. It pulled me in. I loved it. You know when you get one of those real great series where you spend like fuck knows how many hours just watching episode after episode after episode. This Death Note did that for me, and I thought, shit, this series is so good. But the second half really let it down for me. If you don't know what the storyline's about, you know, and you've heard all the hype about Death Note, it follows Light, this very intelligent, like, high schooler who finds a Death Note dropped by a Shinigami, and whenever you write something in, you know, the pages, you know, that person dies, however you wrote it in the pages, and essentially it winds up being an amazing cat and mouse sort of like thriller game between L, who's like the world's greatest detective, who's trying to hunt down Light, who's taken the alternate personality called Kira, and, you know, he makes himself like public like a god, and it's just a great back and forth twist and turn cat and mouse game. And this series is fucking brilliant. I mean, you've just got over it because it really is that good. Second half lets it down. The first half, Jesus Christ, is it good. In the countryside, I'm wandering far and wide. And number 14, Yu Hakusho. Oh, I know a lot of you think this should be in the top 10, and I did really enjoy it. So if you know of Hakusho's at 14, what's to come's got to be fucking good. Arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, shonen battle mangas of all time. Pulls no punches. It follows Yusuke Urameshi, this little fucking punk kid who gets killed, brought back to life, and becomes a spirit detective. And he works for, you know, the spirit realm, doing cases. Personally, my favourite is the Dark Tournament. I know a lot of people think, you know, the Sensui arc's the best, but for me, it's Dark Tournament, man. I love those shonen tournaments. What can I say about this series? A great core of 4 characters: Kuwabara, Hiei, Karama, and Yusuke. You know, they're fucking bosses, man. They're beasts. Great characters for its time. Pretty good animation for its time. Very good voice acting, I would say. Also, interesting fights. Really in-depth characters. Great villains. Yo, you can't go wrong with Yu Hakusho. So number 13 is a quirky little series that isn't my typical sort of thing that I'd like, not my typical genres that I go for, and that's Spice and Wolf. And I was quite shocked how much I really enjoyed this series. It's really good. It follows Holo, this goddess of like harvest, and Lawrence, this travelling merchant, and they form this like friendship and this bond, and slowly over time there's like a bit of a romantic love interest. And, you know, this series is about like economics and farming and trading, and it's a really, really good series, honestly. It's got 2 seasons. I've got the Blu-ray edition of it because I actually liked it that much. I was like, wow, Spice and Wolf is good. You know, even though I can overlook the little bit of ecchi that's in it with the naked Holo, but the story and the characters is just really engrossing, and it's just a really charming little series. I'd actually highly recommend Spice and Wolf to anybody. So coming in at number 12 is another one of the greatest shonen battle mangas / animes of all time. That is the Rurouni Kenshin / Samurai X series. You got the television series, amazing. You've got the fucking brilliant Trust, Betrayal, Reflection, OVAs. It follows Kenshin Himura, who is this Ronin wandering samurai who's repenting for his past sins in a war where he was, fighting for the government side, where he was known as the Batosai, the legendary manslayer. This guy went in there and he killed everyone mercilessly, killing left, right, and center. And in his backstory in the Samurai X, we get why he goes from being that legendary manslayer and what changes him, you could say gives him a bit of a human soul again. But, the Shishio fucking up, my god. For me, it makes the entire series. I mean, there's tons and tons of filler, but when you get to that Makoto Shishio arc, the Hyoto arc, it's incredible. Tons of great villains, tons of great action, tons of great fights, interesting characters. If you haven't read it or watched it, check out Rurouni Kenshin. So coming in at number 11 is a series that for years and years and years was always in my top 10, but I've just watched some stuff that's pushed it out slightly. And this is a series that not a lot of people have watched, very underrated, but incredible in my opinion. That is Gungrave. This is based on a PlayStation 2 game which got its own anime TV series like spin-off, which is absolutely incredible. Another one of those series that when I watched it, I smashed it out, it pulled me in, I loved it, episode after episode, I sessioned it. And what I love about this series is it's got the best passage of time that I've ever seen in any anime. It follows Harry McDowell and Brandon Heat. It starts off as maybe they're 19, maybe 20 years old, and they basically wind up getting entangled in the mafia and drawn in the mafia, and we see from young age how they rise through the ranks of the mafia from being like heavies to accountants to being assassins to being like board members to being the leaders to being the lead of the code of iron, and you see characters physically change and get older. Maybe they get a bit greyer, a little bit more beaten, but also in the voice acting, either the voice actors change or they give it a more gritty, older tone to their voice acting. And that was an incredible touch, one of the best touches I've ever seen in an anime. And honestly, great, interesting characters. You could say it's like boss fights, like when Brandon fights like villains. It's kind of like a boss fight in a video game. It's over the top action, tons of bullets and guns and explosions, and it's great. This is such a great series, and I really wish a lot of people would check it out. Skip episode 1 if you are going to watch this. Don't say why skip episode 1. Just believe in me. Skip episode 1, go straight to 2, and there's an incredible plot twist that you'll never see coming if you don't watch episode 1. Episode 1 spoils it, and it's a great story of betrayal, a lot like Berserk, that real great gritty blood and guts revenge tale halfway through the series. Just check Gungrave out. So guys, that was part 2 of my 30 favourite anime of all time. Now in the comment section down below, tell me what your thoughts are on some of the anime that I brought up in this list. And if you were going to do your fantasy 20 to 11 in your top 30 list, what would they be? And you can give me why if you like. Thanks for watching guys, give it the old thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and may the sun never set on the British anime empire.